Now what I want to do is play a piece of Biden's press conference from last week when he secured $1.3 billion for the Ukrainians. In that press conference, Biden was asked whether or not the United States government could continue to sustain giving the Ukrainians what is essentially an endless amount of money. And Biden's answer was, "We can do this for a long time."
Thank you.
Mr. President, how long can the U.S. maintain the level and pace of this military support for Ukraine?
Well, we have the capacity to do this for a long time.
In Tuesday's video, I made reference to Joe Biden telling Black Americans that he was going to give their reparations to Hispanics. Now, for those that didn't believe me, here's the actual video of him saying this when he was asked about reparations for the descendants of American slavery.
Vice President Biden, do you support reparations?
Look, let me, since I haven't spoken on this, got a chance. Number one, the reason we're the country we are is because of immigration. We've been able to cherry pick the best from every single continent. The people who come here have determination, resilience. They are ready to stand up and work like the devil. We have 24 out of every 100 children in our schools today is Hispanic. The idea that we are going to walk away and not provide every opportunity for them is not only stupid and immoral, but it's bad for America. They are the future of America, and we should invest in them. Everybody will benefit from it, every single American, and you should get used to it. This is a nation of immigrants. That's who we are. That's why we're who we are. That's what makes us different, and we should invest in them.
Thank you, Mr. Biden. Senator Klobuchar, you had your hand up.
This was then followed up by Joe Biden being questioned again about support for reparations, and this time he appeared to be all for it as long as it included Native Americans.
No, but they look, they're not mutually exclusive. But I can't believe that whatever it is, the African American community would not support what I'm talking about. In addition to,
I don't think we have to. Let me ask you this then. Let me ask you this so we can move on because we've got to get some phone calls in as well. But let me ask you this then. If in fact a calculation comes to you that you are satisfied with, would you then say, I'm for reparations?
The answer is it would depend on what it was and will it include Native Americans as well.
Now, as I also discussed in Tuesday's video, in March of last year, the Biden administration secured the largest investment ever into the Native American community with $31 billion. And then he followed that up this year by securing even more money, close to up to $50 billion in their 2023 fiscal year budget report. So close to $81 billion will have been secured exclusively for the Native American community, to which Black Americans are not included. Yet in order for Biden to even consider reparations for the descendants of American slavery, it needed to include Native Americans.
What did the five fingers say to the face? What? Slap!
And then Biden followed that up with telling the Congressional Black Caucus that they can forget about reparations completely. And he told them this right before he took his trip to Tulsa to commemorate the 100th anniversary of the Tulsa Race Massacre. Now, amidst all of the excuses to dismiss reparations, the most common excuse, as we all know, is where is the money going to come from because we can't afford it. But as I've said in videos in the past, these types of excuses are only reserved for Black Americans because when it comes to everybody else, the money counter is rolling. And as we speak, it appears that your reparations money that the United States government couldn't afford is now all going to the Ukraine. Now, just last week, Biden secured $1.3 billion for the Ukrainian government. And this came after he already secured $800 million the week prior. The United States will send another $800 million security package and an additional $500 million in direct economic assistance to Ukraine as its military fights off a renewed Russian assault, President Joe Biden said Thursday. This is money the government can help use to stabilize their economy, to support communities that have been devastated by the Russian onslaught and pay the brave workers that continue to provide essential services to the people of Ukraine, Biden said from the Roosevelt Room of the White House. With this latest disbursement, I've almost exhausted the drawdown authority I have that Congress authorized for Ukraine and a bipartisan spending bill last month, Biden said, adding that he would send lawmakers a supplemental budget request next week. Last week, following a phone call with Zelensky, Biden authorized a separate military assistance package worth $800 million. Now what I want to do is play a piece of Biden's press conference from last week when he secured $1.3 billion for the Ukrainians. In that press conference, Biden was asked whether or not the United States government could continue to sustain giving the Ukrainians what is essentially an endless amount of money. And Biden's answer was, "We can do this for a long time."
Thank you.
Mr. President, how long can the U.S. maintain the level and pace of this military support for Ukraine?
Well, we have the capacity to do this for a long time. The question is, are we going to continue to maintain the support of the international community and keep the pressure on Putin to prevent him from overrunning the country, number one, and number two, make sure we continue to maintain the economic sanctions, which over time, and we're beginning to see it, are devastating their economy and their ability to move forward. So the most important thing right now is maintain the unity. So far, so good. Thank you very much.
Mr. President, when are you going to ask for in the supplemental?
There wasn't a pause or stutter in Biden's voice when he told the reporter, "We can continue giving the Ukrainians money like this for a long time." He didn't think twice about it. And you know what else he didn't think twice about? His request for an additional $33 billion to aid the Ukrainian government. The Biden administration is asking Congress for $33 billion in funding to respond to the Russian invasion of Ukraine, more than double the $14 billion in support authorized so far, senior administration officials told reporters in a briefing Thursday morning ahead of President Biden's remarks on the additional assistance. The money is intended to last until the end of the fiscal year on September 30th and provide Ukraine with a more sustained guarantee of support as the war drags on. The bulk of the request is for military and security assistance, a total of $20 billion to provide weapons to Ukraine, replenish U.S. arms stockpiles, and help other countries shift away from a dependence on Russian weapons, the officials said. An additional $8.5 billion is being requested in economic assistance to the Ukrainian government and another $3 billion for humanitarian and food security funding, including supporting refugees from Ukraine and countries who are taking them in. When you look at the rate in which the United States is printing up billions of dollars for the Ukrainian government on a week-to-week basis, or how they're making it a point to up their investment in the Native American community from $31 billion to up to $50 billion, yet when you start talking about reparations or any other piece of legislation for that matter, now all of a sudden the money machine is broken. And even if it wasn't broken, your request to assist Black Americans exclusively is unconstitutional anyways. What this tells you is that unless you get your own grassroots politicians in place to fight for you, then you can forget about any real transformative legislation ever coming out of the United States government. They've proven this to you time and time again. Even something as simple as a police reform bill or a voting rights bill, they won't pass. Listen, these bills are basic reform bills. They aren't even dealing with any real money like that, but they won't pass it. Anything that looks like it will benefit Black Americans exclusively, or at minimum, Black Americans will receive the majority of the benefit, it's an automatic no. The only time the U.S. government agrees on passing anything for Black Americans is when it's something nonsensical, like a hip-hop holiday or an anti-lynching bill that's 200 years too late. It's insulting, and it's not going to change anytime soon unless we change the way we go about doing politics. So with all that being said, that does it for today's video. Please make sure you hit that subscribe button as well as the bell notification next to the subscribe button so you can be notified whenever I release a new video. All social media links will be pinned in the comment section below. Please make sure you text tdhiphop to number 33222. That's tdhiphop to number 33222. That way you'll get a direct text notification whenever I release a new video, but it also serves as a protection plan for myself in case YouTube ever gives this channel the axe. I'll be able to send you a direct link to where you can find me next. And last but not least, for those of you who have a love and appreciation for the work that I put in on this channel, the number one way you can show your support is through Patreon. For only $3 a month, that will help put me in position to take TD Hip Hop Media off of YouTube. Remember, the goal is not to grow big on YouTube, but to grow independent of YouTube. And for those who have issues with joining Patreon, you could also hit the join button that's next to the subscribe button, and that way you can become an official channel member for as little as $3 a month as well. And lastly, if you have not already, please make sure you join the emailing list. There is no way that I can go independent of YouTube if I cannot take the audience with me. And the link to that will be pinned in the comment section as well. Thank you for your time, and until the next video, peace.